Are the riots in Dublin a sign that extremist politics are gaining a foothold in Ireland? Okay, so explain what I read it, but you have to explain it.
It's pretty wild. So Ireland, I had to reread the story several times.
It was about Musk, wasn't it?
No, it was really kind of it's a fomenting of a sort of very, very tiny minority that's very loud and very violent. That it basically it's anti-immigration and it's all the usual populist kind of conversations. I think
what stirred them up? Wasn't it something on Twitter? I refuse to call it X.
A lot of it comes down to like rumors and misinformation, but it's grounded, and so Twitter's a big part of that there in this case. But
Twitter's better, isn't it? I feel like it's so much easier to go Twitter. I refuse to call it X, than go X, formerly Twitter.
Yeah. On a recent episode of Real Time with Bill Maher, the focus shifts to Ireland, a country facing growing tensions after riots broke out in Dublin. Surprising for a nation once seen as progressive and welcoming. Bill Maher and his guests discuss the rise of anti-immigration views and the division caused by fear and identity struggles. Social media, especially Twitter, now X, is blamed for spreading misinformation and making things worse. As the conversation continues, it raises important questions. What does this mean for Ireland, a country that has changed quickly in recent years? And what does it show about the balance between free speech and social harmony in today's connected world? The conversation is important, with effects that reach beyond just Ireland.
To be a drug, that's what people used to, but...
And I'm also going to call Kanye. I'm not going to get it.
Speaking of Ireland,
But the Irish thing, though, honestly, the thing that concerns me is that whenever you start having a pretty sort of violent, extremely right-wing riot in Ireland, this is unprecedented.
We've had them here.
Yeah. But never in Ireland. Ireland is so antithetical to everything, we know about. Ireland was the first country to, by popular vote, legalize gay marriage, Ireland is one of the most liberal
late
places.
In the game, though.
A lot has changed.
What year was that?
That was 15 years ago, 10 years ago?
That's kind of late in the game.
All right. Raise a glass to Shane McGowan, by the way, speaking of Ireland.
Yeah.
But I will say...
Henry the Pogues died this week.
I'm Irish.
The attempt to ban hate speech in Ireland that got passed recently, I see the same thing going on in France, and they can't seem to understand that they passed these anti-Semitism laws in the 90s, and somehow anti-Semitism got worse. And it's because you told all the anti-Semites that they can only talk to other anti-Semites. Yeah. What did you expect to happen?
And this is actually the same thing on college campuses. Yeah. When students are not talking to one another, they're not having civil discourse, opinions don't go away because you ban someone saying them. We need to get especially students on campus, make them sit down and talk, make them debate, and make them say this to each other.
This is one of the most important things that your show's doing right now, which is defining liberal values and saying we need to stand up against liberalism on the left as well as the right. And there's a group of common sense Democrats, liberal patriots, radical centrists that need to start taking the conversation back.
The rise of extreme anti-immigration views in Ireland marks an unsettling and new chapter in the country's history. Dublin, once seen as a symbol of progress and inclusion, has become the center of violent riots driven by populist ideas and widespread misinformation. A small but vocal group has used social media platforms like Twitter, now X, to spread rumors and divisive messages, fueling fear and triggering a national crisis. At the core of this issue is a struggle over free speech, social unity, and national identity. Ireland's reputation as a peaceful, progressive nation is being tested as leaders and citizens face the challenges of immigration, nationalism, and the digital age. As the world watches, Ireland's response highlights the risks facing democracies today.
What are the panel's thoughts on Hunter Biden being indicted?
Look, it just shows that the equal justice under law exists. The president's son, is going to get busted for evading taxes, and he did it in a moment of grief. And that doesn't really matter because he got to obey the law, no matter whose son you are, no matter who.
It does really.
There's no two-tier justice.
It does really point out that one side does consider the law a little more seriously than the other. And the fact that they kind of compare it to Trump, like Hunter Biden is not our hero. Okay?
The indictment of Hunter Biden is a major test of the idea that no one is above the law. Facing tax evasion charges, the president's son is under intense legal and public scrutiny, showing that political connections don't guarantee protection from accountability. For some, this case proves that the justice system can hold even the most influential people responsible. For others, it raises concerns about a double standard, comparing the treatment of political opponents and fueling fears of an unfair justice system. Beyond Hunter Biden's actions, this indictment highlights a divided nation, where the law is seen as both a tool for protection and a weapon. It sparks debates about fairness, accountability, and the challenge of bridging deep political divides.
What kind of interference can we expect from Russia as the 2024 election heats up?
None needed.
Well, but actually, there's a story that just came out yesterday in the UK that the U.S. was involved as well, that Russia is doing cyber hacking specifically with the goal of not only disrupting their election, but eroding faith in democracy itself. And I think that's the larger stakes. And we've seen this on TikTok, a lot of these things that go viral. You've discussed that. And now, you see Trump losing no opportunity to praise Xi in every campaign speech. The guy, Donald Trump, loves dictators. But I think that dramatically increases the chance of interference only because people are going to want, those autocratic alternatives are going to want to degrade democracy and put us on a path towards decline.
But are we flattering ourselves in thinking that that's what they need to do as opposed to sit back and watch? I mean, people, there was, of course, the misinformation campaign and bots on Twitter making us all, get outraged and row and fight. But it feels like that's taken on an organic life of its own now. And perhaps we're flattering ourselves by saying it must be interference. We see this in other parts of the world, whenever people, rise up against their leaders and everyone says it's a conspiracy. I mean, by all means, Russia will and would love to interfere, but I kind of wonder if, these days they really need to. I mean, this election is not looking too tight.
Yeah. No. In canceling, we talk a lot about what experts have done to undermine their own credibility, unfortunately, in recent years, and that's also a big thing that Russia's trying to do as well. And unfortunately, they're complementing each other in the worst possible way.
The 2024 election is approaching, and once again, the threat of Russian interference is casting a shadow over American democracy. Experts are warning about cyber attacks and misinformation aimed at disrupting the election and eroding trust in the system. But here's the real question. Does Russia even need to interfere anymore? With political divisions at an all-time high, some argue the damage is already happening on its own. The splits that foreign actors once magnified now seem to thrive, on their own, fueled by outrage and a divided political landscape. Social media? It's become a breeding ground for chaos, where misinformation spreads quickly, whether or not there's foreign involvement. This isn't just about outside threats, it's about how easily our internal divides can be exploited. Russia's tactics, whether active or not, point to a bigger problem: how fragile democracy is when unity is lost. It raises big questions. How do we strengthen democracy, and can we protect it in an age of constant division? Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more thought-provoking content. Hit the bell so you never miss an update. See